or your infrastructure, or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
In a digital world where cyber threats evolve by the second, one thing must remain constant: trust.
Welcome to CelsusBit, where cybersecurity meets intelligence, strategy, and empowerment. At CelsusBit, we're more than just a cybersecurity company. We are your trusted partner in securing the future. We provide cybersecurity as a service, offering scalable, proactive, and intelligent security solutions for startups, enterprises, and individuals. We specialize in vulnerability management, threat intelligence, application security, governance, risk and compliance, security awareness and cybersecurity training, cloud and endpoint protection, incident response and continuous monitoring. We train, we protect, we empower. Whether you're a business looking to secure your infrastructure or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
In a digital world where cyber threats evolve by the second, one thing must remain constant: trust.
Welcome to CelsusBit, where cybersecurity meets intelligence, strategy, and empowerment. At CelsusBit, we're more than just a cybersecurity company. We are your trusted partner in securing the future. We provide cybersecurity as a service, offering scalable, proactive, and intelligent security solutions for startups, enterprises, and individuals. We specialize in vulnerability management, threat intelligence, application security, governance, risk and compliance, security awareness and cybersecurity training, cloud and endpoint protection, incident response and continuous monitoring. We train, we protect, we empower. Whether you're a business looking to secure your infrastructure or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
Bad click away from a total shutdown. Here's how to prevent it. One employee clicks a sketchy email attachment, and boom, your entire network is compromised. Files encrypted, systems offline, customers locked out, complete business paralysis. Here's the brutal truth. Your current security setup probably isn't enough. You need comprehensive protection that covers every vulnerability. That's exactly what CelsusBit delivers. End-to-end protection with AI-driven threat detection, 24/7 monitoring, and incident response, everything customized for your organization. One successful attack can wipe out years of hard work in minutes. Don't gamble with your company's future. Check out CelsusBit now before it's too late. CelsusBit has protected hundreds of organizations, earning a reputation for reliability and rapid response. Our clients trust us to keep their data safe so they can focus on what matters most. Ready to secure your business? Visit CelsusBit.com for a free security assessment and see how we can help you stay protected.
Program just failed an audit, again. And you're the one explaining why. That sinking feeling as you prepare to face leadership with the bad news is all too familiar. Compliance failures aren't just embarrassing. They expose your organization to fines, reputation damage, and security vulnerabilities that could lead to breaches. The real challenge isn't your dedication. It's that compliance is a moving target. Regulations change, threats grow, and your team is stretched thin. CelsusBit, founded by security engineers and former CISOs, transforms compliance from a headache into a strategic advantage. With AI-driven automation and expert guidance, we handle vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, governance frameworks, and virtual CISO services, all in one place. With CelsusBit, you get 24/7 monitoring, automated documentation, and expert support for HIPAA, PCI, GDPR, and more. Stop explaining failures. Start celebrating compliance success with CelsusBit.
Small businesses for a living. Here's what scares me most. Most small businesses don't realize they've been breached until it's too late. I'm Daniel, a penetration tester with Celsus Bit. We break in so real criminals can't, so you can focus on what matters most, your business. Trust Celsus Bit to protect your business. Get your free security assessment today.
Where cyber threats evolve by the second, one thing must remain constant: trust.
Welcome to CelsusBit, where cybersecurity meets intelligence, strategy, and empowerment. At Celsus Bit, we're more than just a cybersecurity company. We are your trusted partner in securing the future. We provide cybersecurity as a service, offering scalable, proactive, and intelligent security solutions for startups, enterprises, and individuals. We specialize in vulnerability management, threat intelligence, application security, governance, risk and compliance, security awareness and cybersecurity training, cloud and endpoint protection, incident response and continuous monitoring. We train, we protect, we empower. Whether you're a business looking to secure your infrastructure or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
In a digital world where cyber threats evolve by the second, one thing must remain constant: trust.
Welcome to CelsusBit, where cybersecurity meets intelligence, strategy, and empowerment. At CelsusBit, we're more than just a cybersecurity company. We are your trusted partner in securing the future. We provide cybersecurity as a service, offering scalable, proactive, and intelligent security solutions for startups, enterprises, and individuals. We specialize in vulnerability management, threat intelligence, application security, governance, risk and compliance, security awareness and cybersecurity training, cloud and endpoint protection, incident response and continuous monitoring. We train, we protect, we empower. Whether you're a business looking to secure your infrastructure or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
In a digital world where cyber threats evolve by the second, one thing must remain constant: trust.
Welcome to CelsusBit, where cybersecurity meets intelligence, strategy, and empowerment. At CelsusBit, we're more than just a cybersecurity company. We are your trusted partner in securing the future. We provide cybersecurity as a service, offering scalable, proactive, and intelligent security solutions for startups, enterprises, and individuals. We specialize in vulnerability management, threat intelligence, application security, governance, risk and compliance, security awareness and cybersecurity training, cloud and endpoint protection, incident response and continuous monitoring. We train, we protect, we empower. Whether you're a business looking to secure your infrastructure or an individual aiming to enter the cybersecurity field, CelsusBit is here to guide you every step of the way. Why choose us? Expert-led services and training, affordable, scalable solutions, a human-centric approach. Our purple and white brand is built on clarity, integrity, and energy. Join the movement. Whether you're struggling with compliance, dealing with a breach, or preparing your team for the digital battlefield, CelsusBit is your shield, your strategy, and your cybersecurity partner. Contact us today at info@celsusbit.com or visit www.celsusbit.com. CelsusBit, securing trust in a digital world.
Hello, Grace. Can you check your mic, please? Check your mic.
Right. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I mean, I had said quite a number of things, but again, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the location that you're in. We want to appreciate you, first of all, for being a part of this webinar. And of course, you're sure that you're going to learn quite a lot of things. You're going, whether you're a professional or you're someone who's just starting out in cybersecurity, because I mean, this is cloud security, but it's a major part of cybersecurity. So whether you're just starting out as a cybersecurity enthusiast, or you're somebody who's already pretty grounded in the industry, or you're someone who is, at the middle, we have everything for you here. So, in lieu of this, I would want to say welcome to today's session, which is hosted by Celsus Bit, where we don't just talk about cybersecurity, we teach cybersecurity, we live cybersecurity, and of course, we empower through cybersecurity, which is exactly what we're trying to do here, to empower you, to get you to understand what cloud security is, the risks involved, what you need to do, and to ensure that your organization is properly secure against any cyber threats whatsoever. Now, we are super excited to have you here to this very beginner friendly. It's beginner friendly. So whether you're an enthusiast, as I mentioned earlier, you definitely are in the right place. So we'll be diving deep into cloud security, one of the most in-demand and critical areas of tech today, which is also one of the area of cybersecurity that tons of people are moving into, especially because tons of organizations are moving to the cloud as well. Now, to lead us through this session is someone that I consider a cybersecurity living legend. I'm not even joking. And, I made a post about it earlier today, and I said that he is the cybersecurity odogu, and trust me, if you look through his profile, you know that he has lived up to this. So I would literally consider him a living cybersecurity excuse me, legend. Now, he's not only the head of information security strategy and engineering at Unity Bank, he also is a globally recognized and award-winning cybersecurity executive. But then, of course, I'll leave you to go check his profile to see the rest of it. He's got over 15 years of experience sitting on the Forbes Technology Council, and is a respected member of the Cyber E-Board community. He's a red teamer. He's a cloud security expert, which you would see in a few minutes. He's a digital forensics professional and a co-founder of cybersecurity startups with footprints in Nigeria and in the United States of America. Now, from MIT to EC Council, from Lagos to London, as we most likely say, from strategy to engineering, he has done literally everything. You really need to take a look at his profile, and then of course you would also be hearing a whole lot from him. So please help me to welcome our speaker for today's session, Zechariah Akinpelu. You're absolutely welcome.
All right. Thank you, Grace, for the introduction, right? So,
Yeah.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the part of the world you're working at, you're operating from or working from, right? So today we'll be starting the course, right? And it's more or less like kind of an introductive course on cloud security. So we're gonna do justice on the three different major cloud service provider. We start with the GCP, and we also going to talk about the about AWS and Azure. And this is one of the introductory classes that we're having, and we promise not to take your time, right? So also we offer quite a lot of number of trainings, and but towards the end of the course, I will let us know much more about the other training that we do, and also if you want to deep dive into the cloud security architecture, right? So uh, let's start. So let's start with this. So we'll be looking at on different model of cybersecurity aspect as it relates to cloud, and we'll definitely start with the identity and access management. We'll be also talking through the network security, how to set up the VCP virtual cloud, the VCP, how to also set up the NSG on AWS, how to set up the security group on Azure, and also because we're not talking about different security tooling that are native to different cloud service provider, right? So would also do justice. There'll be a live demo, so just be patient towards the end. There'll be short live demo, and also we're going to get our hands a little bit dirty, but depend on the timing. All right, so let's start. So when it comes to cloud security, people think that whenever they are dealing with a cloud security, they don't need to do any other things, though, that the cloud service provider will take care of everything. So that's a fallacy. So when it comes to cloud service security, you have your own role, then the cloud service provider to also have their own role, right? So that's what we call the shared responsibility model. So we need to have this notion that there is shared responsibility model. So the responsibility, what you need to do as a cloud security architect, and also there's also the responsibility of the cloud service provider. So today we'll be looking at the three major providers, and I will be looking at the AWS, the Amazon Web Service. We'll be looking at Azure, and also be looking at the Google's cloud provider. So let's start with the AWS. From the AWS point of view, the AWS, the provider, which is Amazon, will only help you secure the infrastructure. So the security of the OS, the security of the application, and the security of the data is your responsibility. So before we dive into that, so look at the cloud service as like you, more or less like you are sharing an apartment, and as somebody build a very big house and everybody has their own apartment. No, if you look at the apartment system, there's the responsibility of the apartment owner. The responsibility of the apartment owner is to ensure that the apartment is fit for living, and also your responsibility is to taking care of that whatsoever that is in the apartment. If you move your stuff in an apartment, you can move in your furniture, you can move in your TV set, you can move in your electronic gadgets. Also, so we also have different kind of apartment. If it's a shared apartment service, for a shared apartment service, you can just move in with your bag and baggages. The basic electronics, the TV, everything is already set. You just move in. So the care of the whenever those services that have been provided have an issue, maybe there's an issue with the TV because it's not your own TV. It's the responsibility of the apartment owner. So just look at that in that line. So when it comes to the AWS will only secure the infrastructure, because you don't need to bring your infrastructure. You don't need to think about data center. You don't need to think about how to power your data center. You need to think about your servers. You need to think about the rack. You need to think about the personnel that will help you to secure those data center, right? So yeah, so your responsibility is to ensure that the operating system, the applications and data are well secured. So that means that you need to understand the basic principle of the OS hardening, application security, and data security. And we're going to get into that. But for the Azure, Microsoft only secure the host. So these different provider have different names. It's still all they have different terminology, but it all boils down to almost the same to write. So in Microsoft, Microsoft will tell you that they will be responsible for securing your host, but the security of the tenant and the resources is yours. And so for GCP, Google will tell you that they will only help you secure the hardware, but you have to manage the project. You have to manage the identity and access management. You have to manage all the API services. So it's very important for us to know that there is a shared responsibility. You just don't deploy a cloud service and go to sleep and go to bed. I think that everything is all right, right? So you need to know your roles and responsibility when it comes to shared when it comes to shared services, right? You need to know your roles and responsibility, and also play your part to ensure that you do the needful right, and also make sure that everything is fine, right? So that's for that, right? So let's look at the uh, at uh, at the trading the identity and access management. So how do you, because look at the identity and access management like kind of one of the foundation that need to be built, because if you don't get the identity and access management right, you are starting on a very wrong foundation. I've seen different people, they will subscribe to different service provider, they would not do the basic identity and access management. What do you mean by identity and access management? Like you need to define the different rights, the different user. You need to create different user. You need to assign different roles, different policies, and all of that, right? So, this trade provider have different terminology, what they call them, right? So in AWS, they say call the AWS will tell you that you need to secure. Yeah, you need to. There is AWS security best practice, and also there's also best practice for the identity and access management. And the AWS will need to tell you that you need to make sure that all the users are well set. Then you need to define the rules, you need to define the policies, you need to define the multi-factor authentication, you need to also define the single sign-up and all of that, right? So it's very wrong for you to deploy the cloud service and you allowed your workload to be running on the root operating the users. So you need to create a definitely a separate account, right, for different workload. So towards the middle of the course, I'm gonna display to you how to define this architecture. We're going to look at the case scenario and the architecturing a class service. We're going to look at AWS as our example. And also towards the end, we also look demo session on how to set up a virtual private cloud, GCP, right? Yeah. So Azure Active Directory, you need to understand the role-based active, the access control. You need to understand the conditional access. You need to understand your identity protection. For the GCP, you need to set up the roles. You need to set up the organization policy. So let's look at the data level. What do you need to do? This different provider has some native data security tooling that can be leverage upon. I'm gonna share some of the native tooling. I'm also gonna tell you and also walk you through, not just mentioning those tooling, I've also accessed the platform, the AWS, the GCP. If time permits us, we also walk us through the Azure environment so that you get used and also get familiar with the environment, the environment. All right, right. So, but we're gonna do some demo on maybe probably on the AWS and also on the GCP. But if time permits, we look at the Azure, right? So for AWS, the S3 encryptions, you can leverage on S3 encryption to encrypt your data and storage, especially data on your S3 buckets, especially on the AWS 5 system. You can also leverage on EBS. You can also leverage on RDS. You can also leverage on AWS KMS. AWS KMS means key management system, right? But for the Azure has its storage service encryptions where you can use to encrypt your data. It also has the TD and also has the keyword. With the keywords, you can, if you are a developer and you develop a kind of application and you the applications, let's presume that the applications as maybe a service account or a connection string to into the database. I know that most of the time the developer don't encrypt this connection string, and the connection string is always stored in a file in plain text. For people that use Visual Studio, the connection string is always stored on the on the configurational file. So Azure can take care of that for you. You can just put everything in the keyword, and you just need to just refer, maybe call, maybe you just need to make a reference to the keyword, and you don't need to think about how what the password will be. You don't need to think about the username and password, but the AWS will help you take care of that. So, sorry, Azure will help you take care of that. That's what we call the keyword, right? For the GCP, we have the CMEK and we have the CSEK, and we have the secret manager, we have the enforce HTTPS to ensure encryption at GCP level, right? So let's look at the what do you use to harden and or isolate your resources. So for you to harden, hardening is a process by which you remove unwanted services or disable unwanted port or disallow ports that you think that is not secured, right? So so for you to harden in the AWS, you can leverage on the security groups. The security groups is more like you can use the security groups to define the ports and also the amount of access and also the ports that need to be disabled. You can also leverage on the NACL, which is Network Asset Control listing. You can leverage on the AWS Inspector. You can leverage on the VPC flow log. But on Azure, you can leverage on NSG. So in AWS, they call it security group. On Azure, they call it NSG. So just see it like a kind of basic firewall, or maybe firewall at the operating system level, right? Yeah. So just look at see like that. So it's like is a default firewall that comes with the with the uh, with the class service. So on GCP, they call it VPC firewall rules. So they are all the same. They perform the same function, but just that they call it different names, right? They call it different names, and of course they have different terms about this perform about the same functions. And for you to harden and isolate your resources, you can also leverage on Defender for servers. You can leverage on Bastion on Azure, and you can also leverage on OS config. If it is GCP, you can also leverage on VPC service control. Right. So for the monitor, because in the security, having defined, maybe you define your firewall rule, you've added the operating system, you've added your databases, you've ensured that the permission have been well set, right? You've done everything possible that needs to be done. What next? So, what you need to do, right, is for you to monitor to ensure that, okay, everything is fine. You need to monitor as much as possible, as much as you can, right? You need to monitor, and also, and you need to detect if there is possible security incidents, maybe possible attack. If that attack happens, you need to know how to respond. For the fact that you deploy a system, whether you're using GCP, whether you're using Azure, whether you're using AWS, that doesn't mean that the attacker will not keep on attacking your system. You must build your cloud infrastructure in such a way that you have a resistance. If at all somebody is attacking you, the attack will not have any kind of effect, right? So the attack will be dropped. You need to have like a auto, like the automatic detection response in place, and all of that. So just what you do, just imagine what you do on your normal infrastructure. You monitor, you have a scene, you have security incident, and event monitoring system in place. So you need to also make sure that you have your detection capability, your detection engineering is very, very okay, right? So for the AWS, you can leverage on the CloudTrail. So CloudTrail give you the visibility of what is happening on all your workspace, and it monitors user activities. It does a lot of stuff. You can leverage on guide duty. You can leverage on security hub, and you can also leverage on Lambda. All these functions is more like you have like kind of a same traditional security incident and event monitoring. On Azure has what we call activity flags, Defender, Sentinel, and Logic apps. You need to enable all this, and also you need to configure this. By default, if you subscribe to any of these cloud provider, they will not help you do it, because what how you want to manage your stuff. Some people will tell you that, okay, they don't want to enable the log, they want to enable the log because of the performance and because of the resources, because of the maybe they want to manage their cost and all of that, right? So but as a security engineer or security architecture, you need to ensure that if you leverage on any of these services, you need to ensure that all this basic stuff are enabled by default, right? And also, you also need to ensure that they don't just be enabled. You just need to ensure that you build a system in place for automatic detection and response. If somebody is trying to hack into your system, or for example, the AWS. For example, let me start with the AWS. The cloud tree has the very basic function of you can use it for to do some level of monitoring, and also it can also help you do some basic functioning of load balancer, and also you can also use it to just to do some basic distributed denial of services countermeasure. Let's present somebody is trying to weigh down your cloud infrastructure with unsolicited request on your cloud tray. You can set the rate limit. You can define the rate the rate. For example, let's presume that you deployed an application, and over time you observe that the number of requests you receive on that application is about maybe, let's say, 2,000 requests per seconds or per minute. You need to set that at that cloud tray, so that in case if you have all of a sudden your application have about 10,000 requests per minute, that might be a possible attack, might be a possible DOS or DDoS attack. So the application, the cloud tray can do that limitation. But for you to get the most sophisticated protection, maybe for the DDoS protection. That's well, I didn't mention it here. You can also leverage on AWS advanced sheet. The AWS advanced sheet gives you a much more granular, and about that services is a little bit yes, the cloud tray is very the services is not as much as expensive as the AWS advanced sheet. But if you don't have even AWS advanced sheet, AWS advanced sheet has the web application firewall inbuilt, and it also you can also, whenever if you are under attack, and you can also the AWS incidents and response team can also jump at you and also give you the necessary support whenever you are under attack, and all of that. I've used that for quite a number of times when I still manage AWS for one of the largest AWS infrastructure. I was a point in time that we had some unsolicited advanced distributed enough of service, but cloud tray wasn't sufficient. We have to activate the AWS Advanced Sheet on the go, and but we're able to get to know this because we've automated and we've fine tuned all the cloud tray, the guardity, and the security hub. And when we realize the attack are getting overwhelming, we're able to upgrade to the advanced shade. So one good thing about this all this tooling, let's presume that because you're trying to manage cost and you didn't get to subscribe to the bus subscription tooling, and but you can actually uh, do subscribe as the need arise. Let's presume that okay, at the point in time you feel that okay, for a particular year you need to have one particular services, you can subscribe to that. So for Azure has that activity logs. You got the Defender, that is Sentinel. Sentinel aggregates different security log from the different workspace, and you can use this to perform the function of XDR, extended and detection response, and all of that. The logic apps is more like a observer application observability, that is to monitor all your resources, all your workload, and all of that. For GCP, we have the audit logs, we have the SCC, we have the event threat detection, and we also have the cloud functions, right? So let's talk about the governance and how do you compliance. So for the compliance, one good thing about all the cloud service provider, the one I've used, and they have a very robust system when it comes to GRC. You can actually automate your compliance activities and leveraging on the different compliance agent or compliance engine on the different provider. So you can leverage, for example, AWS as the organizations. For the organization, look at the AWS organization as a form of you want to segment your network. Let's presume that, okay, maybe let me share more light on the AWS. We're gonna discuss about the architecture an AWS service. I will show you an architectural document that are designed for one of our client rights, and I don't have to remove the name of the client anyway, and also tone down so many stuff, right? But so I'm gonna show you. So I will let me go back to what is AWS organization. Liking organizations to like we got kind of your segmentation. Want to let's presume you want to segment your network. Maybe let's presume that you organization you're into payment services, and also your customer can access can use your payment services to make payment online via their card, and because you are dealing with the card with data information, you need to be PCI compliant, right? And according to the PCI, so PCI highly recommend that you need to segment all your network, and also all the PCI scope system need to be on a separate segmentation. Let's presume that okay, you have a PCI scope system. The application they have to be on a separate segmentation. And so look at the AWS organization. If I want to use AWS to ensure that, okay, let's presume that, okay, I don't have any services on-premise and I leverage all my payment application and on my AWS cloud providers. So what I will do, I will create a separate AWS organization, like kind of another segment. I'm going to show you how to create the AWS organization very shortly. I will create an organization, and on that organization, and I will state that I will need to state it, and also and yes, there should be a separate organization for the PCI scope, services, or PCI scope application or servers. I can also create another organization for this, for the testing environment, for the sandboxing environment, and all of that, right? So then you also need to look at the AWS. You can actually do secure copy. You can also leverage on the AWS config. AWS config help you. It does the work of traditional file integrity monitoring, something similar to file integrity monitoring. You can use it to configure, to have a visibility, or if a particular if a particular let's presume that, okay, you have some sensitive file that needs to be monitored. You can use AWS config for that and all of that. So the equivalent of AWS organization in Azure is what we call the Azure Management Group. We also have the Azure policy. You can define different policy based on different compliance blueprints that you want to follow, and you can also define the blueprints. So for the GCP has the org policies. So GCP has the folders. It has also for setting security to achieve same thing. All right. So what are the things that I need to do for you to do? So what are the actions that need to be taken to ensure compliance? You need to enforce identity and access management, and also you need to enforce multi-factor authentication best practice. So before I continue, let me just quickly see if I can share my entire screen. Right, I want to quickly show you and they show you through the AWS console, right? So let me log on as hold on, let me see if I can share a portion of my screen, right? Let me see. I think you can see my screen now, right? I don't know whether, okay, I think I need to, hold on, just give me some minute, please. Hold on, it's not coming up, right? Let me check again. Let me do this screen sharing again. Let me see if I can share the entire screen, right? Okay, hold on. Let me stop and share the entire screen. I don't know why this technology is. Let me share the entire screen. Let me see if I can share the entire screen. I'm not sure this is coming up right. I figure out what is going on. Let me remove some of the stuff that I don't need again, right? Let's try again. Can you see my screen? If you can see my entire screen, you can let me know. Let me know if you can see my entire screen. Okay, I think I need to, sorry. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think I'm the one getting it wrong, right? Okay, I think it's coming up now, right? Yeah, okay. So as you can see from the screen, right? So immediately I click on the yes, I want to log on to the AWS. I've entered the username and password. It's asking me to enter the MFA. But so many people, whenever they want to log on to their, I'm trying to let me just uh, bring on my multi-factor authentication, right? So many people, whenever they configure their stuff, they do not enable multi-factor. It's very, very important that you enable multi-factor on all the users, especially on the root users, right? So it's very important, right? So AWS console, right? So from here, let's come to home, right? So I think you can see the home page. So there are different zone on the AWS stuff. So, but I subscribe to the US. They have different data center all across the world, and there's US East, there's US West, yes, US. They also have the data center in the Europe, and they also have in Africa. I think the only data center they have in Africa is the one in South Africa, right? So if you want to create a AWS organization, so because I'm working with the roots, there's only one organization here. Let's presume that okay, I want to do like kind of a network architecture. I want to do like kind of a, let's presume that okay, I'm being required to design maybe a robust infrastructure, and I will be sold network. Maybe I want to create an organization for PW scope. You just come here, you click on organization, and as you do that, to take a while, you click on create organization, and but to create an organization, you need to add the AWS account. The that will be responsible for the organization. You need to add the AWS account. You can invite an existing account. Account. So it's only good. You don't different organization don't attach a root users to each of those organizations. For example, if I want to call PCI organization or PCI, I would rather a separate user for that. I'll be working on it not be based on the default user. So if you want to create different user, I will come here from the console. You can just type or you can come here. You click on these are the different and but for most of the function that you use on a regular basis, you will see that there if you want to create an S3. But let's start with the IAM. Use the IAM for the identity and access management. From the identity and access management, you can configure, define the user policy. You can create user groups. You can leverage on different on the you're getting used to, or maybe you're just getting started with AWS for the first time, there are a lot of that you can leverage on. So it's asking me whether I want to enable the identity center, and but now I'm not ready for that. But let me just go to the users, the IAM. Let me look at it. Right. Let's presume that you want to create a, sorry, let me just type here. Here, you click here. So use that to manage the access to different AWS resources, right? From this, as you can see, right, so we have a now, but we have we have 7 major roles. You can create more rules, but we have 7 basic rules, right? So these are the rules that come with this. So we have the AWS service rule for Amazon Inspector, because I already have the Amazon Inspector to be inspecting. Amazon Inspector is more or less like a kind of a vulnerability management solution, and it's also like kind of it also can be used for you to have a visibility on what is happening. Maybe if there is a security issue and on your store. So that's why I created this AWS service rule for the Amazon Inspector. You also have the AWS service rule for AWS manage rule. You can define your own rule for the you can define your own rule, and you can define what you want. So these are the different user group right here, because I created a user group that will be responsible for vulnerability management. That's what I call it, vault management. So you can create a user group. Let's presume that, okay, your organization, you want to have the different, you have a IT auditor or IT auditor. You can create that, and you can define, you can make the users to be the roles to be granular. Maybe the auditor, you want them to be able to access only the compliance framework and nothing more, right? You can define what you want. So from the users, you see the listing of all the users here. So for now, I only have one user here. If you want to create more, you can create a new user. So let's presume I want to create a user called test user. So if you want to provide the user access to the AWS console, you can click on that. So you click on next. So as soon as I do that, it takes me to the AWS identity management. So I need to enable that first before I can leverage on that. So if you click on, so because my data center that I'm using is currently in Virginia, this is the US East. So it picked up by default. If you are different region, all the regions will be created. So that users has been created. I can now go ahead and do some further configuration. If I want to manage the permission, if I want to manage, confirm the sources where the user will be coming, will be logging on from, and this is the URL for the users, and the user is attached to the default organizational ID, right? So if I want to manage the permission, you click on manage permission, and all these things can also be done at the some of us that like to work on the maybe using a terminal. You can also have you can be doing this on the terminal or from the console. So you can create a predefined. So depending on what you want. So if maybe that user, I want the user to be accessing only the billing. Maybe if the user is in an account, to just be managing the billing. If the user is a data administrator, so there are different predefined users, and so depending on what you want. One for the security audit. So for the security audit policy, you can. So this guy can check all the configurational metadata. So for the auditor or the security administrator, if you want the guy to only just be viewing only the resources, so it depends on what you want. So you can leverage on the predefined stuff, or you do a customized permission. So if you do a customized permission, so you need to, it depends on what you want. You can create an AWS managed policy, and you can create a custom managed policy, but you need to set it first. You can create an inline uh, policy. You can create a permission, but it all depends on what you want. So so it's always good for you to make sure that the user access is granular. Don't just make the user access to be very much granular. So the mistake that people make when they because identity and access management is a very big deal. It's just like one of the foundation of cybersecurity. So because if you grant everybody, because the unlimited access, if that person or that set of person get compromised, and it can be very, very dangerous, right? So that's for that, and so there are a lot of stuff that you can do on the AWS, and especially on the IAM. Even you can spend. You can even have it depend on on your organization. If you have a very large organization, you have people that I'm an engineer. You can also create a different group for different user group that everybody can come into the console and do this stuff. And you can create a various security user group and all of that. So from here, you can set the permission. You can create the permission from here. You can leverage on the predefined permission or the custom permission. So depend on what you want, right? And also, if you want to assign a particular assignment for particular applications, so you can also set that right from here. If you want some people to be able to manage, maybe your DevOps engineer to be able to manage only their resources, and you can do all of that. So you can you can leverage on the SAM 2.0 or the old 2.0 and all of that. So let's get back to our slide, right? So there are a lot of stuff that you can do under the identity and access management. But if you want to get you familiar with the other stuff, but this is where for the if you want to create maybe you want to create a VM, you want to create stuff, that a lot of stuff that you can do here, you can come to, so it depends on the function you want to do. But for now, we are still discussing about the identity and access management. So let's go back to our slide, right? So let me take this down and take my slide up. Okay. So I hope you can see my slide now, right? All right, I think it's up. So okay, so from the IAM, you can and also I think I've mentioned that you need to enable the multi-factor. Is very good. Enforce IAM and MFA best practices. You can read up the documentation on AWS IAM and best practices. Then you can encrypt and backup data that you can patch your VMs, your virtual machines. You can also scan them regularly. You can enable login. You can enable SIM. You can automate your response. You can review your compliance quarterly. You can set up a compliance and review on a basis. Let's look at the high level of AWS. Let's presume that okay, let's have this scenario. Let's presume that you are being tasked to or maybe you are a newly employed cloud security architecture of a company called XYZ, and your role is to design an high level AWS landing page architecture. And so you're doing that for other company, and let's presume that is the name of the company is XYZ, and so the company they just starting up with the AWS, and they believe that you can help them. So this is a high level from the AWS. Before I start, I go back to my drawing board. I try as much as possible to make sure that okay, what are the things that I need? What are the things that I need? Yes, I need. Let me see if you guys can see. Hold on. And to bring this to stage, okay, let me remove this. I want to do like kind of a high level. Okay, hold on. All right. Okay, don't worry. So let's presume that okay. So because this is a new, they want to migrate their workload maybe from the on premises. This is from the on premises to the AWS. So for you to do that securely, you need to be very careful. On the landing, you need to have like different accounts, and also you also need to let's part of the requirement that they want to be compliant with the various compliant body like Sarbanes Oxley, ISOX, the New York Data Financial Services. Let's put that the company is a payment service company, and they want it to also be satisfied with the California Privacy Regulation Act, and also they want you to be satisfied with the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, and of course they want you to benchmark with the various CIS control. First and foremost, you can if you for what I did, I will logically I created like three, so like four AWS organization. I created an organization for security. I got an organization for infrastructure, where all my infrastructure will be created. Maybe the servers, the compute resources, or the sandboxes. I created so sandboxes is where we be testing, because before you deploy to production, we want to see how this thing works and on the test environment, like more like a test environment. And yeah, so the infrastructure and the workload can be together. So the this workload VPC is where the all your workload, maybe your applications, your let's say presume that there is an application ERL, like payment applications will be uploaded, right, and all of that. So because and you need to also ensure security. So what I did, I created a group, an organization called security. So in that AWS security, that's where I will put all my security tooling, like tooling like the AWS config, AWS AWS inspector, and all of that. Let me bring up my the high level architect. Let me pull this down. Right. Let me see. Just let me confirm. Sorry, I'm bringing up the same stuff up. Right. Where is my file? Okay. Yeah. Here's this file. I don't know whether you can see this file clearly on my screen. Right. I don't know. Can you see clearly? Right. So if you look at this, so first of foremost, so I come up with a high level documentation. Okay, the executive summary. The purpose of this high level architecture is to outline the design and implementation of a secure, scalable AWS landing zone that support multi account architecture for XYZ. I need to do my paperwork. So the design enables the XYZ code to deploy workload efficiently across all services. And it will also be aligned with different framework like NY, DFS, CPRA, SOX, DAST, and CIX. So why am I doing this? I want to ensure that I have a very secure multi-account AWS environment. I want to have a centralized governance and security control. I want to also ensure that the stuff is scalable, and definitely I want to also make sure that I comply with the different regulations. So first and foremost, I told you I, I need to create different dedicated organizational units for different stuff. I created infrastructural organization units. I show you how to create an organization unit on AWS, Sandbox organization unit, the workload organization units, and also the dedicated organization unit for to put in all my security tooling, right? Having done that, I need to look at the next is to look at the IAM, the identity and access management. You need to also so for the accounts, I create different accounts for all the service account for the infrastructure for the infrastructure. I also create that separately. Don't use the same service account, right? It's very important. You also need to look at the what are the security measures that need to be put in place. You need to leverage on the AWS network firewalling. You need to also leverage on so the essence of the network firewalling is to do the work of the firewalling. So you can also leverage on the private link, also leverage on the NAT gateway to ensure that you are able to hide the internal IP from the public IP. So under the IAM is very important. I can use an identity federation using AWS. If your organization is already using on AD, I can send the AD to the AWS IAM Identity Center, and it's also very good to enforce the multi-factor, ensure that least privilege for every account that I've created. I must make sure that those accounts has the required access. Then I can also, because we'll be moving stuff from the on-premises, and I want those stuff to be moved securely. So you enable the secure copy. Don't just use normal copyright. So for the compliance, I enable the AWS Security Hub. So this Security Hub enables me to, design this on the paper so that whenever I'm doing stuff, I will not just be messing around and on the platform and all of that. I know what I want to do. So this will serve like kind of a guiding documentation for me, myself, and also the team that I'll be working with, and maybe I'll be working with the DevOps team, the developers, and all of that. So also from my mind, okay, we need to create cloud tray. I show you the cloud tray, then the S3, and so I do all of this before I came up with that diagram that I show you, right? So that's how to create a high level architecture. So while doing that, right? So you need to do that, get the architectural right. Architecture is like a kind of you building. If you want to build a building, you first of all design. You have the architecture of that diagram of that building, and that building need to be supervised by an architect. So there is a classic architect. You can come up with a high-level architectural documentation that will guide your stuff. So you need to plan whatever thing that you do, right? And so let's go back to our slide, right? Let me remove this from the stage, right? So that document helped me to come up with this high level architecture, right? Helped me to come up with this high level architecture. So let's look at now that we've created the architecture. If you want to try that, let's try something. Let's get our hands dirty on a Google Cloud provider service environment. So if time permits, I will also walk through what can be done at the Azure. Azure, I have different demo account here. Let me see whether you guys can see my. Let me share another screen for you guys. Let's do it this way. Let me see. Okay. Let me bring this on stage. I don't know whether you can see my screen all right. So if you want to log on to the GCP, the Google Service Provider, having definitely you need to create an account. You can create an organizational account, or you can create an account with your Gmail, and or you use it depends. Say if your organization use Google for the stuff for the mailing services, you can use that, right? So this is my Google account page, and this is the environment. So if you want to get used to the environment, this is you can click on this. This is the navigation the navigation menu. So for the navigation menu, you have so many functions. You can access the billing function, the I am an admin. If I want to set up different users, I come on to under this identity, on this under the I am. So for now, I only have one. I think I have two accounts. I have another account that I have given an editor role rights. So for this, because this is just a demo account, obviously this is the root account. So if you want to, if you feel that you've added too much, you've given an account too much access, you can come into through the editor so you can come in, you can click on the users that you want to edit. You click on the edit the principal. If you feel that okay, you don't want to give this guy editor role, you want to give him just only the view only access, right? So you can assign this and save, right? So these are the default different roles, but you can create your own rules by clicking on managing rules. You can create your own customized rule by clicking on that on the managing rule. So so if you look at this, there are different inbuilt rule that have been created. You can leverage on that. Also, you can also, when you get used to that, and also for if you want to get to know what those rules does, you can click on them and you see the different permission that has been given to that particular role, and you can edit and recreate, and you can also define your own role based on every individual access, because you don't give people this same level roles. You need to the roles need to be defined in such a way based on the least privilege principle, based on the need to know basis. You also need to make sure that you follow the role based access control policy wherever required. So let's presume that okay, I want to create so there and also let's presume that you are migrated from your works from your traditional data center. You can maybe you have some stuff that you're using. You want to leverage on Databricks, you want to leverage on Apache. You can get all of this. The market space is where you get some this data log observability to market space. What you get some stuff, but you want if you want to install a Red Hat Linux machine and all of that. But that's not what you want to do now, right now. So, but you can so for let's what I want to do. I want to create a virtual machine, and also want to create a simple network to or maybe I want to create a resources on a virtual machine, and I also want to limit the access to that virtual machine from the public. So for me to do that, you come back here, you come here to the navigation menu. From the navigation menu, you can, if you want to create API services, you come here. If you want to create Kubernetes services engine, you come here. So we have if you want to create Google cloud storage system, you come here. We have different kind of cloud storage, but for the security, so if you want to set up the compliance, this is where you get all the security compliance model. And but because of the limitation I have on this account, is a test account, I couldn't access that security bit. But let's create a compute engine. Let's create a virtual machine. Let's presume that I want to deploy a web applications, and I want to deploy it on a Apache web server. You need to first of all for you to create the virtual machine, I want to create a resources. You click on create, so you can specify the name of the machine, but create a meaningful name so that you can easily track your machine. Let's presume that, okay, the machine is maybe web server for maybe payment application, maybe web server pay app. Create a meaningful name. So from here, there are different regions. So you can specify the region where you are located. If you're located in Canada, maybe based on regulation, some organization will tell you, some region will tell you that, okay, some data needs to reside on the region. So depend on these are the regions available, right? And so these are the different regions available. But for now, I would just stick to the sorry, I didn't create the right name. Let me just say web pay app. Let me just call it web pay app, right? So you specify the zone. So on US Central in Iowa, these are the zones that are available. We have 4 zones available. So let me just stick to the defaults. Let's stick to the defaults. And so you can see these are estimated costs for my server on a monthly basis. So on an hourly basis, I will spend like 0.03. It's pay as you go. So definitely, because this is a demo class, I'm gonna delete the stuff immediately after this class, so that they will not be charging my credit card or driver, right? So let's leave it. It depends on the type of server you want to create. So let's leave it as low cost computing server, Intel server. No, so let's leave it as that, right? So let's leave it as that. So let's just click on create. So it will take a while for the creation to be done. Whenever it is done, you see it from the console, right? So you can see that it's still rolling. You see it as soon as it's done. So let's why it's still rolling. So what we want to do, we want to limit access from this server from anybody on the internet. And if you're setting up your network security, and because if you create a VM instance, by default, the service provider will give you the default network security. You need to use your own discretion to limit what you want, and also to limit the scope of access. So I always recommend when it comes to network security, I always recommend that you should adopt the principle of explicitly deny all. Assume that you don't want any machine. No, look at that's part of the zero trust architecture. Make sure that no machine can access that machine unless you specify it right. So let's hold on while this thing is okay. I think it's done. So this is the external IP. Let me copy this external IP on a notepad. And so this is the IP that will be accessible on the internet. And let's copy it somewhere. Let me just open up my notepad, right? And this is the internal IP. And so if you look at this, if you want to manage there's a GCP Cloud Console, and also there's also the command, the terminals. From the terminals, I can access I can remotely, maybe given the permission, maybe to DevOps engineer that will be working that, so that they can have a remote access for this via SSH. And but the remote access is given automatically, but I can also define the rule. If I'm not comfortable with the rules that are there, I can define it through the VPC. So let's presume that, okay, why that is coming up, okay, Let me authorize the connection. Right. So this is the terminal. So let's. So this is the terminal for the from here I can manage so the stuff from my Linux terminal. So let's come here because I'm not so comfortable with this also. And let me share my entire screen again. I want to see whether I can access this guy. Hold on, please. Let me share my entire screen. I want to see whether I can access this guy via an ISCMP. Maybe doing a kind of echo. Let's ping the server, right? Let me stop this sharing. Let me share the entire screen, right, so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing, right? So let me just share the entire screen, right? You click on entire. Okay, sorry. Let me share the entire screen. I think you can see my entire screen now. Let me add this to stage. This is my entire screen. Let me go to my terminal. Sorry, can you see? I don't know whether you can see my command line, right? Okay. So so the IP address, the SN IP address is this. Let me see whether ICPMP protocol is allowed, right? So let me copy this. Hope I'm copying the right thing, right? Hold on. Hope I've not done something. Okay. Okay, this is not allowed here. Let's go back to let's go back to our console. Where is the console, right? Let me see. My cloud. This is the console. I think this is okay. So from here, if you want to manage the permission, you click on the web server. You click on edit. From you look for the networking permission rights. Okay, sorry. You click on the IP that you want to. Let's go back here. So you click on here. So you look for the. You click on the network. You come to firewall. Hope you're following me. So from the firewall, this is the firewall rule that have been configured. I think if you look at this firewall rule, you can see that there's a rule called stop ICMP. ICMP will stop any ping connection, right? So there is this ICMP rule 1, there's ICMP rule 2. And if you look at the priority is 1000. So by default, whenever you are setting up a rule, you need to make sure that I think I've created a rule earlier on before this class to stop at the ICMP. But let's if you want to edit a particular rule, so this is the rule that allow the SSH. So if you want to check up the details of the SSH rule, you can see that this is the rule. So the SSH allows where you allow SSH access. So let's come back here. I know that I want to stop the. I want to allow the. I want to allow the ICMP. So if you want to allow the ICMP, you can click on the edit. the firewall rule, and you can decide what you want to do. Right? I think I purposely I created this rule earlier on. If I want to allow this, I will just click on allow, or so it also dependent if you want to allow TCP, maybe port. Let's presume that I want to install the web server, so I need to allow the TCP on port 80 and port 443. You create another rule. You can create another rule, call it create rule, and all of that. So let's go back. Let's delete these two rules and see what is going on. And also, if you're not comfortable with what's in there, you can delete all the rules and recreate your own rule, right? So let's click on this top ICMP, and let's stop it, and let's delete the two rules. Hope it's okay. I think it's refreshed now. Let me go back here. Oh, so after stop it, let me not add my own rule. Let me just say allow ICMP. Let me just say allow ICMP, right? Let me just say ICMP. So this is where you define the rules. So I want to specify it on all the instances of the network, right? Let's do it on. Let me check for my IP address here. IP. Okay, let me allow this guy. Let me just allow 192.168. If you want to allow everything, or if you want to allow everything to be able to, these are wrong parties anyway. You need to, let's do this 0.0.0.0 right. Sorry, supposed to be. So let's create on from this. Whenever you're creating on the priority, you need to ensure that you give it a lower priority. So to pick the lower priority first before it pick the so I'm definitely give it priority 500 so that to take precedence. So if I've allowed this, let me come back here and do my ping. As you can see that I can access uh, I can access this the ICMP from any network. So, but if I want to be more thorough, maybe I just want only the set of people from a particular subnet to be able to access that. I would divine it, and then maybe I want only the DevOps engineer. Maybe allow DevOps DevOps team. Then I will have created maybe a subnet called DevOps, maybe a VCP called put all of the DevOps engineer in that. So I cannot put the description allow or DevOps and all of that. So you can now define. So from here you can pick up, because we not divide the network. You now pick up the name the name of the DevOps network. So you can set the priorities, and so instead of here instead of using all instance of network, you can specify the particular network that you want to give access, or you can also give access based on accounts. So you can be very granular. You can give access based on account, right? And also you can do you can from this source from the source IP range, I will just define the ranges of those IPs, so those guys on that particular sub segment, and all of that. And from here, you can also give access to people. Let's presume that you have a database, a database in the administrator. You want them to be able to access maybe SQL Server on port 1433, or you want them to be able to access Oracle database server on port 1529. You can, maybe if you want to, if you have like 2 3 database administrator, you can specify the specific IP and also specify the port. You can click on the port that you want to allow. You can click on the specific port number. If the port number is not in the list, you can click on other. You can just specify the port number, and all of that. You create that rule. You also set the stuff. But before you start doing all of this, you need to plan yourself. Have a high level architecture. Based on the architecture diagram, you first of all create all the necessary network. So if I want to create a different network group, I can come to VPC, VPC network, right? I can from here you can create you can click on here to create a VPC network, maybe network for different category of users, or the different category of workload. You can also create based on ranges of internal IP addresses, and also you can also set up the firewall configuration from here, right? So you can set up the firewall rule. You can create a router. You can create stuff, and these are the default firewall rule that has been created. You can see the one that we just created, right? And but I always recommend that don't use default stuff. Delete all the default stuff, create your own rule, and make it granular as much as possible. Don't just do generic. Don't just create permit any, and I use the principle of deny all principle to make sure that I do the needful, and also have a control over who can access what, and at the particular point in time, right? So, and yeah, so let's see. So maybe because of the time, we are running out of time. We will not be able to. I wish we cover more ground, but we will not be able to do more than this, right? So let's go back to our presentation, right? Where's my presentation? That's a simple demo on how to allow how to create a firewall rule on Google Cloud Service provider. So you can also follow the same principle while doing that on maybe on Azure, or on AWS. But you just need to get familiar with the environment, right? Right. So for this, because trust me, within 1 hour 30 minutes, within 2 hours, if you want to go deeper, we can't do much more. So at CelsusBit, we offer a 40 hours training course, hands-on training, to be 90% practical, and you'll be handholded on how to do stuff, configure stuff on all the three Azure, on all the three cloud service provider. It's a 40-hour course. If you want to learn more, you can reach out to us, and you learn all the basic principle, the classic fundamental. There will be a very good background on the. Though I just delve into the course like that, I just presume that okay, Some of us we already have a fundamental of cybersecurity, but we look at we have different courses. We have cybersecurity fundamental, but for this cloud service practitioner, because a lot of people are telling me that they want to get their hands dirty on cloud service provider, so that's why we are doing this, like kind of a demo, or like kind of a, for you to have a feel of what our training program look like. So currently we are doing a bonus, maybe 25% off for the main cost, and these are the various details of what you learn. You learn about the designing and how to architect secure infrastructure on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud service. You get your hands dirty on all the three service provider. I've myself and my team, we've developed and managed large enterprises. I think I deployed several years ago. I deployed and managed the largest AWS service in Sub-Saharan Africa. I also did that on Azure, and also doing something with some client on GCP. Right. So we are not just going to teach you on knowledge it's just not going to be like kind of traditional presentation, that okay, what is cloud security, but you're going to get your hands dirty. We've done this over and over again, and if you check through, we've done it for different organization, large scale organization, as an individual, as an enterprise. So we also walk you through the how to manage identity and access through IAM and cloud identity through all the three major provider. We've also done. You've also been taught on how to do configuring network security, including VPC, a firewall, private access. Let's presume that you want to have a private access from your data center to the cloud. The technology that you can leverage on how to do that practically, implementing data protection using various encryption and key management solution. We're going to teach you about monitoring, logging, and incident response, utilizing cloud security command center, right? And also we're going to teach you about how to remain compliant to various compliant body. So you can reach us if you're interested in any of our training. We also do training on application security, training on penetration testing, training for fundamentals, for people that want to do cybersecurity fundamental training on GRC, and also you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We on our YouTube channel there are various short courses that you can learn. I also deployed some of the courses that are like people that want to learn penetration testing. There's a free courses on penetration testing for beginners on our YouTube channel. Just look at the playlist, subscribe, and click on the notification button for you to be get notified. There are a lot of free courses that we put in there on our YouTube channels. But if you feel that okay, you want to interact more, you want to be handholded, we are there to assist you. And also we offer mentoring services for people that go through any of our training classes. And also we guide you to when you get your first job in cybersecurity, or maybe you want to change job, because we can leverage on our network. We have network in different parts of the globe, right? So, and because we consult for different organization, right? And we base on our head office is down in the US. You can reach out to us from our official email. You can learn more about us on our websites, and also if you want to interact with us, you can interact with us through the YouTube channel, Instagram. Then our official line is also on WhatsApp. You can also interact with us on that, right? So, and somebody will reach out to you. And if you have a question, reach out to us. Thank you. I think at this stage, let me see if I can, bring back, yeah, right.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Zach, for that very powerful and eye opening session. I believe everyone would agree with me that that was not just a webinar, that was a masterclass. You talked about the best practices of IAM. You talked about shared responsibility model. You talked about building secure cloud architecture, monitoring, encryption, compliance, and tons of it. You've really given us a very high level but deeply insightful tour of cloud security. We would like to say thank you so much to that. Would like to say thank you for that to you. Now we'll move to the question and answer session. If you have any questions, this is the time to drop those questions. Please, you can put that in the chat area, and we'll just read it out so that Zach can answer those questions. But I mean, in the meantime, Zach, I'd like to ask, I'm sure that a number of people probably have that question as well. So for somebody who's just entering, or someone who pivoted recently to cloud security or cybersecurity generally, what certifications or what learning paths would you recommend for them to go deeper after this session? Because I'm sure that a lot of people would want to do more research for those who just pivoted and those who are basically beginners in the industry. So yeah, what certifications would you advice that they begin to get?
Okay, right. So thank you, Grace, for that. So for somebody
Hmm.
that's just getting started in cybersecurity, I
Right.
would recommend you can look at CompTIA Security Plus. You can look at IC Square CC certification. I think is free, and
Yes, it is.
is free. The training is free. But I think recently they
Hmm.
started collecting $50 if you want to have the certification voucher. But people that take advantage of it, they do for free entirely, and you can look at that. ISACA has a lot of for the cybersecurity fundamental. There's ISACA CSX fundamental that you can
Mm.
leverage on, and also we also have we also have different different body, and also you can also check up Coursera. There's some free courses that you can leverage on, and but if you feel that okay, you need to be, some people like people to hold them, and also because it's not just about learning, also you also need to get the right mentoring so that
Yeah.
you not struggle a lot, right? Because the few I try as much as possible to keep people that are mentor to be so few so that I'm able to have a so. But we have a large network
Right.
of people in CelsusBit, that's people that we can hand over that can mentor you and hold you. Also, we also offer cybersecurity fundamental courses, and the course is not
Mm.
just explaining stuff. You learn, I think our last webinar, you can check it up. You learn some basic stuff about security, some basic stuff about operating system, Linux, about networking, about system generally, because you cannot protect what you don't know. You need
Right.
to understand the very native critical base about security law, the domain that you want to specialize on. We also offer
Hmm.
various specialized training for people that want to specialize on different aspects of cybersecurity. Before this training, I think one of my friend, she's based on in Dublin. She just reached out to me that she wants to focus on artificial intelligence. She's been doing cybersecurity for about 10 years, but she just feel that okay, she wants to focus on that. We also offer various specialized training because we've done this thing over and over again. So I've managed quite a number
Yeah.
of application enterprise, small scale enterprise, and that to also make sure that they do not experience any breaches throughout my stay in
Hmm.
different enterprises that I've worked with, and also the team. We have a team that are well grounded in every domain. Team that are also specialized in different domains. If you want a specialized courses, you can reach out to us. Yeah, thank you, right.
Right. Thank you so much. So yes, Patrick just dropped the question. Patrick Emiya, pardon me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. He says, which tools in AWS or Azure provide the functionality of IDS or IPS found in traditional architecture?
Yeah, there are quite a number of tools that does that. In AWS, you can bring your own tools. Also, you can also leverage on the, because traditional RDS IPS, what they do, they stop traffic even up to and if sorry, modern IDS. not just stop traffic up to layer 7. For example, the AWS Advanced Shield can do the work of a traditional RDS IPS. Much more than that, it can also work like a web application firewall, can also do anti-DDoS. So for the Azure, we have Azure we have the Azure IPS, we have Azure that you can leverage on. Also, we also have various observability tool that can
Right.
juggle the functions right now. So it all depends. There are a couple of tools, native tooling that does all of that right now. So thank you.
Right. Right. Patrick, I hope you got that. So we have another question from InfoSec Hood. He or she says, can a new entrant in cybersecurity migrate to cloud security without struggling? So what he's saying is, can someone who is pretty new in cybersecurity, whether they're an enthusiast or someone who probably has, few months of experience working in cybersecurity, can they migrate to cloud security without struggling?
Yeah, so we recommend if you're a new entrant, and we recommend that you start with the cybersecurity fundamental class. We offer
Yeah.
cybersecurity fundamental class. You can instead of just doing 40 hours, the fundamental is 40 hours. You can plan yourself do 80 hours. I know I have somebody that has never done security ever in his life. So the guy worked in a hospital and he traveled to Canada. For the first 2 years, he was struggling. I was able to. So we was struggle for over 2 years. He didn't get the desired job. Yes, obviously he did some certification. He thought it's by certification, but he was not able to get a desired job. But with a
Yeah.
few weeks of mentoring and tutelage, and he went through all the fundamental courses and also did some courses on the I think I just did AWS and Azure, and his
Mhm.
first job was a senior security architect role in one of the Canadian government. I will mention the name of the region, because if I mention the
Mhm.
region, you get to know him. The first job was a senior cyber security architect, class security architect after after going through our classes. Yeah.
Right. So you want to ensure that you're reaching out to CelsusBit for such mentorship sessions and classes as well. And another very important thing is for you to ensure that you're part of a community, cybersecurity community, from whatever location that you're in, whether you're in the United States of America, you're in Nigeria, any part of Africa, really. Just ensure that you're connected to a cybersecurity community where you can also, communicate with other people who have been in the industry, to help you further. Okay, that's for InfoSec Hood. Another question would be, so you spoke about the shared responsibility model. Could you please give us an example of where, some companies often get it wrong? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the for the shared responsibility model, the where people get it wrong, especially companies, is like they think that, for example, I've consulted for different companies, and I think I've consulted for a fintech. They felt that because they migrated to GCP, they don't have anything to worry about. And at the point in time, the fintech grows and they need to be compliant. They were struggling with their compliance for more than 1 year. They couldn't get the PCI compliance because some basic stuff that need to be done, they've not done it, and they feel that because they subscribe to GCP, and because
Mhm.
GCP is PCI DSS satisfied, they automatically to be vested on them. And so when we did a kind of a gap assessment on their cloud infrastructure, we realized that there are a lot of gaps, and there are a lot of stuff that needed to be done. For example, their developers are not, they don't know anything about secure coding, and based on PCI, your developers need to go on a routine training, like a secure
Yeah.
coding training, at least once in a year.
Mhm.
We did that for them, and also we did a couple of vulnerability assessment, and based on PCI, you need to do like have like a minimum of 4 vulnerability scan on your environment. They've not done any, and you expect to be to have that title PCI DSS satisfied. So we're able to do that for them. You're able to
Mhm.
automate the process so that not just will be doing it for them, you can we leverage on the cloud service to automate the process so that for the 4 routine scan automatically they can get that, and that scan will be ASV satisfied. We
Mm-hmm.
we we help them to automate that, and also it's only the routine yearly maybe external penetration testing that we do for them now. Also maybe routine check to be sure that the posture is has not been compromised. The security posture has not been compromised. So people think that because they subscribe to cloud service provider, they will satisfy automatically with different compliance regulation.
Yeah.
Their environment is secure. Because if the application that you and whenever when we are also doing the assessment of the application, there are a lot of exploitable vulnerabilities that we are just messing around the application, and I will be able to help them to fix the vulnerabilities at the application level, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Zach, for that. So, just in case you don't know, CelsusBit is actually an organization that deals in a number of services. As Zach already mentioned, there's the vulnerability management part of it. There's the VAPT that you know, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing service. There's the threat intelligence. There's application security, GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance as well. So, talk about cybersecurity awareness. I'm sure that there are people who have organizations, business owners amidst those on the call right now. So if you need any cybersecurity awareness and professional training, you want to ensure that you're reaching out to CelsusBit for that. Talk about cloud and endpoint protection as well, incident response and continuous monitoring. These are things that you definitely want to reach out to the organization for, and you should know that CelsusBit is that trusted cybersecurity partner that you should definitely have in your organization as a company or as an individual. I do have two more questions here, there. While we are waiting for any of the other people on the call to drop their questions, I would like to ask this, which I'm pretty sure that a number of people would have in mind as well. Now, talk about a business. As I mentioned earlier, there are business owners on the call. I do see a number. And I mean, even if you're an individual as well, I'm sure you probably have that question too. So, how would you say that businesses can stay compliant while they're scaling fast in the cloud? Tons of people have already moved to the cloud. Tons of people are moving to the cloud. Now, we're not talking about just moving, we're talking about scaling pretty fast, even in the cloud. So, how would you say that businesses can stay pretty compliant in that process?
All right. So for businesses, you can automate your compliance requirements. You can automate
Yeah.
and there are different requirements. You can automate that, and you can, for example, the AWS config has the functionality of checking up for all your config file to be sure that there's no malicious changes. It can do the work of a file integrity monitoring instead of you to manually install that on your compute resources. You can have that. Like when I mentioned about this, the architecture, the AWS security architecture, you can
Yeah.
have a separate OU for compliance, and also you can set up the different engine for compliance, and also you can also have your posture management. So whenever you deviate, maybe any of your compute resources deviate from a particular compliance requirement, you can have a singular dashboard to see how compliant you are. You can even generate report based on different compliance, PCI DSS, NYFA DSS, SOX, NIST cybersecurity framework. And also you can also generate a compliance report based on specific standard like Center for Internal Security standard. You can automate this stuff and also have a dashboard and also create alert if it's whenever there is a non-conformity, or maybe one of your DevOps engineer mess up with a particular instance, you will get the alert that a particular instance is non-conformity to a particular PCI, and also you can see what is wrong and also have a visibility of your. Even before you engage the auditor, they engage your external people to come and audit your environment. You've already
Mhm.
done the self audit, right?
Right, right. Okay, thanks for that. So, the final question before we go, time is quite fast spent. So, in your experience, what would you say is the most overlooked aspects of identity and access management when organizations are setting up cloud environments?
So the most overlooked aspect is the root accounts. People don't know how to
Yeah.
manage the root account, right? I think I mentioned
Mm.
that. And
Yeah, I was
also
going to
the
say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Mm.
one of the most overlooked. So don't assign the root account to any of your workload resources is very wrong. And
Yep.
also for every resources, every instances that you create, don't use default account. For example, on SQL Server, don't use SE account. On Oracle, there are a lot of default account like OUTLM. Don't use default account. People overlook that, and also they create an instances and they relieve all the default account. Let's suppose that you spin up a database server instead of you to disable all the root accounts. Sorry, all the
Yeah.
people don't do that. You need to manually do that. So those are the most of the stuff that people overlooked. So the people leave the conviction based on default settings. So don't do that, right? Thank you.
Right. Right. Okay. There is one other question from InfoSec Hood here. I'll just want us to take that one question and then we're finally done. He says, he or she says, with the advancement in artificial intelligence deepfakes, how is this menace, how is this menace being put on check while migrating from on-prem to cloud?
Okay, yeah. So the deepfake technology, yes. I think I didn't get the question, but I also want to. Maybe you're talking about the deepfake. Somebody can leverage on deepfake technology to hack into the collaborative uh, tool like Microsoft
Mm.
Team, maybe your I don't know what to but the best bet is to ensure that make sure that all your workload are adequately patched. Don't ensure that the remote code execution kind of vulnerability is fixed. Anything that you want to migrate to cloud, make sure that they check the security posture before you migrate and deal with it before you the migration. Because if you migrate a vulnerable application, a vulnerable workload, trust me, the cloud service provider we're not going to help you on that unless you have
Yeah.
maybe you subscribe to maybe web application firewall or some form of EDR services that can help you monitor that something is going on, but you still need to subscribe because if you don't subscribe and those services they are not free, and if you want to manage your costs, you need to make sure that you deployed application that are free from vulnerability. So it's more costly for you to be managing vulnerable application than for you to fix it right. So thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you for not only sharing knowledge, but also helping us to think more strategically about cloud security and also the answers to the questions that we've been asked. I would also want to say thank you to Infotech Hood, Patrick, and a number of other people who asked questions on this live and then personally as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, and as Zach also mentioned earlier, Celsus Bit is an organization where we make cybersecurity pretty accessible to you, pretty understandable as well, and actionable too, regardless of the phase where you're in, whether you're a beginner or you're a business that's just growing, or you're an established enterprise, or you're someone who's pretty grounded already in the industry. This is, where you want to be definitely. Now, he also mentioned that you can reach out to the organization via different means. LinkedIn, please stay in there to get updates on any upcoming webinars, any training sessions, any opportunities generally to grow with the organization. The phone number is on the screen already. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp as well, via email, Instagram, LinkedIn, as I mentioned earlier as well, and then on the YouTube channel. So we again want to say thank you. Until next time, please ensure that you're staying pretty secure. Ensure that you're also staying very curious, which is pretty important. If you're not curious in cybersecurity, in fact, most people say that we're pretty paranoid as cybersecurity professionals. Yeah, we some of us accept it with our full chest. It's basically being curious. So please, until our very next webinar or training, try to stay as curious as possible. And thank you so much for being a part of the class. We will see you again sometime pretty soon. And thank you, Zach. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
one.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Grace. Have a
All
wonderful day.
right.
Right? Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.